What is up? It's Sheev. What's good, guys? How's it going, guys? It's Sheev the Wise. You already know what's up. Today we're gonna do a little bit of a quick live stream just because there's some updates going on in Star Wars that we haven't really talked about yet, even though we got most of them out yesterday. One of the biggest things that a lot of fans are talking about on the internet right now is the delay of the Lego Star Wars game, and it's been delayed for quite a while now. It was supposed to come out in 2020 and it was announced in 2019, so the fact that this game has still not come out has a lot of fans kind of wondering what the heck is going on. And definitely COVID has to be a factor in this. Like, there's no way the pandemic didn't affect this game. It's pretty clear to, I think, everyone that has looked into this that that's kind of what's happening with this game. But it just seems really weird. They've made so many other Lego Star Wars games. Like, you would think that they have everything that they need before COVID and it wouldn't be that hard of a game to make. But it seems like it's just such a problem to be making right now. Like, I don't understand it though. What's really weird too is even after it was delayed in 2020, it was supposed to come out in spring and or summer of 2021, and now that we're here, it still hasn't come out. And it's like, we heard back in, I believe, August. We heard like early April that this game had been delayed again, and now there's no, like, it's an indefinite release. Like, we don't know when it's coming. And as a fan that just wants to play a new Star Wars game, like, even if it's a Lego Star Wars game, like, just give it to us. And I don't understand what's taking so long. Maybe it's some of the voices for the characters as they started adding those in, unlike the old games where they didn't really have they just did like audios like and so I don't know, it's really strange to me that this game is taking so long, and I'm curious what everyone else is thinking about it, because it's just been forever since this game was announced, and it's going on 2 years that this game has been announced to being coming out now. So it's just strange that it's taking this long, really. I also wanted to get into the Barriss Offee news that we got into yesterday. It really seemed like the Illuminati is the people that came out with this, and they based it off of a casting that basically said that they're looking for an Asian actress that's around the age of 20 to 30. And so a lot of people started to speculate that maybe this is actually Sabine. And honestly, that makes a whole ton of sense. It might make even more sense than Barriss Offee, but the Illuminati has had a pretty good track record recently, and I, for one, am going to take their word for it that Barriss Offee is in this. Even if this casting isn't for Barriss Offee, who is probably around 40 to 50 years old in this time frame, as she is a little bit older than Ahsoka, I believe. It's just, my bad. It's Barriss being that age, like, even then she could be played by a 20 to 30 year old actress, if we're being honest, as Star Wars sometimes does that with their aliens and everything. Like, look at Katie Sackhoff. Like, even though she is around the age of Bo-Katan, she doesn't look as old as Bo-Katan should probably look. We also see that with Ming-Na Wen, who just doesn't age at all, really. She has stood the test of time for quite some time. So Ming-Na Wen is a special case, though. Let's be honest. But yeah, I mean, the 20 to 30 year old range would make a lot more sense for Sabine, but it's very likely that both of these characters could actually still be in the show. I, for one, am definitely in belief that it's most likely both characters. Even if the casting is for Sabine, it could just be used to throw off fans of the Barriss Offee like trail. And just the fact that the Illuminati is the ones that are reporting this and everything else that's going on with it, I honestly do think Barriss Offee will be in the show, and I'm still really hyped for it. I don't know if she will be an Inquisitor exactly, because I started to think about it more today. And Darth Vader is actually the one that ran the Inquisitors, and it would seem really strange to me that he would want Barriss Offee as an Inquisitor. To me, Barriss Offee is the one responsible for his Padawan leaving the Order, and that was just an extra little push to him for Darth Vader becoming who he became. I don't think he would want to mess with Barriss Offee as an Inquisitor, so maybe she's been somehow on her own this whole time. It just seems like a crazy idea and thought too, that she's survived all throughout the original trilogy and now is in this limbo period that we don't really know much about in the Star Wars timeline. It definitely makes sense for her to be in the show though, and I'm really curious where her character has been. I did some deep search on what her species is, and I did find that they have like tattoos on their face, and they do that for like the accomplishments of their species. And the only other species I could instantly think about that's similar to that is the Dathomirians and Darth Maul. That's the first thing that came up to my mind. Obviously Darth Maul would be dead in this time frame of Ahsoka, but who knows if he ever encountered her during his time with the Crimson Dawn Syndicate, as we don't really know much about what happened with Barriss Offee or Darth Maul right after Order 66. We know that Darth Maul escaped the Venator along with Ahsoka and Rex at the end of the Clone Wars, but outside of that, his story is largely unknown, except for the one scene that we see in the Solo movie, and then of course what we see of him in Rebels. But it's very possible he and Barriss at some point had met up with each other, and while I don't think it's probably gonna happen, I think it would be really cool if it did. Let's see what the chat is saying about this. Yeah, maybe her species age different. That's what I was thinking too, Alex. So Star Wars Santa today, I listened in on his live stream, and he did say that their species has about the same average lifespan as a human, like one of us. So it's about 70, 78, something like that. And that right there might not indicate that they could potentially have, like, their aging could be different. Like, it could be like that, yeah, they die at the same age as us, but it's very possible still that like at 78 they're going to be better looking than a human would. I think that's possible too. So good point there, Alex. Tim says, I feel like Barriss would be cool, but like, what's her place in the story? That's a good question, man. To be honest, I'm not really sure either, and I'd be excited to see her. I don't know what her story would be, but I think it could have, like I said in the last live stream, something to do with like testing Ahsoka. Like at this period of time, she's either become like Ahsoka the White that we see in Rebels, or it should just be around that time period for the Ahsoka show. So it's very possible that like Ahsoka has done all this stuff, and kind of like Yoda when he had to battle his dark self at the end of the Clone Wars, it could be just like a mental test for Ahsoka that the Force is almost sending her, and maybe they have to team up and Barriss redeems herself. Who really knows though? It's very interesting. I could see Barriss being an Inquisitor for sure. I could see her being an Inquisitor, but when I really thought about it today, I don't know if Vader would want, like, Vader, I don't know, man. I don't know. He's an angry dude. He's an angry dude, I'll tell you that much. Was she in jail? That's a good question. I believe in Legends, they actually let Barriss Offee go and give her a Padawan, and she remains a part of the Order. But I don't know if she was in jail. I think the last time we saw her, she was with the Jedi Guard, or crud, I can't think of their name right now. The Temple Guards. She's with the Temple Guards, and we know that one of the Temple Guards actually becomes the Grand Inquisitor. So that's why a lot of people think that she could potentially be an Inquisitor, and it does make sense. I'm sure that if the Grand Inquisitor like turned right as the Jedi Order fell, that Barriss Offee was close by, as that time period is somewhat similar, and it's very possible he either let her go as she wasn't part of the Jedi Order at this time, I believe in canon, and it also could be possible he recruited her to become an Inquisitor. So that'd be pretty wild. Also, he knows the split between the two would be risky. Yes. Yes, Alex. Dude, that open world game is gonna be nuts. And I finished my degree this year. It's likely gonna come out. W. That is a W, Alex. Straight up. Straight up. Would be crazy for her. Would be a crazy duel for a finale. Alex, it would be a cool duel for a finale, but I feel like we could see something even cooler. I think Thrawn might be the big bad, not Barriss, so I don't know about that, man. It would be cool though. I think it could give fans a lot of insight as to why she made the choices she made and why she betrayed Ahsoka. Well, I think they portrayed that pretty well in the Clone Wars series, and it kind of leads into the whole thing of Ahsoka leaving the Order. The whole thing with Barriss is she saw that the Jedi were disillusioned and they had become part of this big war in the galaxy that was almost a meaningless war. It was literally fought between droids and clones, two things that were very expendable and didn't matter as a whole. Now, the things they were fighting for mattered, and obviously it led to the control of the Empire, and that's the whole, like, you know, that's why countries and places fight, is to protect their government. But they never really stood a chance of winning. Like I said, it was somewhat of a meaningless war that was put on by Palpatine or Plagueis, that literally both sides were controlled by the same person. So I feel like she wouldn't want to be an Inquisitor, though. It just feels off. Yeah, I don't really think so either. Like, just the fact that Vader, like, that was his apprentice and she was framed by Barriss, and like, I feel like that actually was a big step that led him to becoming Darth Vader and just betraying the Jedi Order himself. And that last scene we see with Ahsoka where she tells him, like, just kind of like, he says, like, I understand wanting to leave the Order. Like, that whole scene is really a big part of Anakin's character arc that we don't see in the movies, and it is a big part of what leads him down to the dark path that he goes. Yeah, first season they won't fight Thrawn, though. Wouldn't be smart business wise for Disney, and a lot about the cash. Yeah, I don't think we will see a lot of Thrawn or Ezra in this first season, but I definitely think at the end of the season we're gonna get Ezra, and probably another tease to Thrawn if we don't see him already in the first season. Palps really the devil. Yeah, Palps is like, yeah, Palps is the devil. You know I am. I'm just kidding. The last thing I wanted to talk about with you guys today is the newest trivia gallery on StarWars.com. If you guys haven't ever looked into this, StarWars.com for each of the Bad Batch episodes has like a whole database and like all these crazy stuff you can look down, and it really breaks down the episode for you and gives you little trivia hints. And it gave us stuff about Moochie a couple episodes that we like kind of used as hints to find out if Moochie was the same creature that we saw in Return of the Jedi. And it also, for the latest episode 7 of the Bad Batch, it talks about Omega, and it gives us some pretty deep implications as to who her character could be. I want to talk about it because it says right here, let me pull it up. Sorry, 1 second, I got it right here. Omega recognizes Rex as a Generation 1 clone. This means he's from the original batch of clones created about 10 years before the beginning of the Clone Wars. Omega has seen the clones of various generations grow older before her eyes due to the accelerated aging implemented by the Kaminoans. Now this is some serious teasing if I've ever seen it. Everybody is talking about whether or not Omega has accelerated aging or if she doesn't. And honestly, the way that this was worded, it still leaves it in the air, but it gives you really big hints. I was on the train that Omega was not or that she did have accelerated aging, and that she was probably about 6 years old, making her 12, as the accelerated aging doubles their age. Now this, again, I'll read it one more time, says Omega has seen clones of various generations grow older before her eyes due to the accelerated aging implemented by the Kaminoans. To me, this means that Omega is not accelerated. It means that throughout her 12 years of life, just like Boba, she's probably around the same age as Boba, and she's seen many clones throughout these 12 years grow older before her eyes. That's just what I got out of that, so maybe I'm way off and she does have accelerated aging, but I'm starting to hop on this bandwagon that she doesn't have it. Originally, I kind of thought she might not, because I thought in future titles they would bring her back and it would be really cool to see. But now I'm even more hyped, because after reading that, it really does make me think that she definitely could have no accelerated aging, and she could be closer tied to Boba, and that we could maybe even see Boba Fett in the Bad Batch, as I predicted before. I'm really hyped about it though. What are you guys thinking about it? Do you think it's possible? Do you think she has accelerated aging, or do you think she doesn't? Put a 1 in the chat if you think she does, and a 2 in the chat if you think she does not. Alex says, nah, she doesn't have it. She could. I don't think she... It's still really up in the air. There's been so many like little hints here and there. And it would be weird if she didn't have it and the Bad Batch didn't know about her, because that's a 12-year-old girl that's been there for 12 years. That's probably as long as the Bad Batch themselves have been alive. Maybe even, like, if it's possible, if she is like 11 or 12 or 10, that she's the same age as the Bad Batch, or even a little bit older. We know that Rex is technically 13 years old, as even in this it said that Rex was created 10 years prior to the Clone Wars, and we know that the Clone Wars lasted about 3 years. So that would mean Rex is 13, and with the accelerated aging, Rex is about 26 at this time. If he was part of the first batch of clones, we know that the rest of the Bad Batch is not part of that first batch. So it's very possible that they weren't created for another year, maybe 2 or 3 years, and within that 10-year span that they were created, and they're either 20 to 24 years old, maybe 25. It's really like the accelerated aging is a little bit interesting, and we don't know a whole lot of details other than it's about double the aging speed of a normal human. So it's just really interesting to me that Omega might not have it. If she didn't, she'd probably be created around the same time as the Bad Batch, and that's just really weird to me if they don't know her. I see a lot of 2s in the chat, so most of you guys don't think she has it. Even in a matter of months, she would be aging enough to see, to be honest. That's true, Alex, and maybe we would see it if she did have accelerated aging. So I think by the end that we will know. Yeah, I definitely think at some point we will find out if she has the aging. It'd be really cool to see if the Bad Batch continues to get older and Omega stays around the same age, you know? I think Filoni is smart enough to leave the door open for her to be used in later projects without concerns for her being elderly too soon. Ducky Momo, obviously Dave is definitely smart enough, and he definitely would do that with purpose too. When I made my first Omega video, I definitely thought that she could be in future projects and that she might not be accelerated. So I'm with you 100% on that, and I'm definitely starting to hop on this train, especially after reading this little passage here. Matt Lego Films, what's up? Don't worry about being late, man. I'm happy you're here. Thank you for stopping by. What's up, Relo? So I'll say it one more time for the people that have just walked in. We got some pretty interesting stuff about Omega on StarWars.com. It says that Omega has seen clones of various generations grow older before her eyes due to the accelerated aging implemented by the Kaminoans. Now, to me, this definitely is a big hint to her potentially not having accelerated aging. Everybody else is kind of on the same page as me, it seems like, and especially after reading that, but it's still big question in the show, and it's really up in the air for the rest of the fandom at this point. So I kind of am hoping that she isn't accelerated now, and I don't know. It'd be really cool to see how this unfolds throughout the rest of the show. I'm really interested in it. The other thing with Omega that we got in this episode was the fact that she didn't have a chip, and I wonder if this maybe has anything to do with it. On the post-episode stream that I did, someone brought up, I think it was Ashton. Ashton brought up that potentially the chips, her not having a chip could mean that she wasn't accelerated. And I thought it was interesting because Rex took out his chip, and we know he still has accelerated aging, as he looks about 60 years old in the Rebels, and we did the math, and that would make sense. Now, it could be possible that once the clones are birthed with the accelerated aging, there's no reversing it. Or it just could be possible that Omega is so special that she never had accelerated aging or inhibitor chip to begin with. A lot of people have been speculating lately that maybe she has a different type of chip, or maybe she just doesn't know that she has a chip, or she's lying about it or something. And honestly, I don't know what that deal with it. Like, everybody wants to make it something that it's not, and like look deeper than, like, almost look too deep sometimes with this Omega character. I gotta say, everything we've gotten from Omega has been pretty surface level. We found out a lot about this character before the show even started. Everybody kind of predicted she was a female just by looking at her and hearing her voice. A lot of other people looked to the closed captions and found her name in the early trailers. So a lot of what we gotten from Omega has been handed to us from the very beginning. Even my idea and Star Wars Santa's idea that she could potentially just have heightened perception as her ability, that was given to us in the very first episode. It really seems like everything has been in front of us the whole time, and we've been trying to dig into nothing. So I don't know, Omega could be just another decelerated aging, or Ducky Momo, I like that. You threw me off there with that. Ducky Momo says, big twist, she has decelerated aging. She's actually in her 20s, but she's dirt slow like Grogu, a Grogu hybrid. Mind blown. You know what? That's a pretty good idea, Ducky Momo. I don't know if she has Grogu hybrid type stuff. I don't really know about that. That's probably a stretch, but maybe she does have decelerated aging. I doubt she's been alive for 20 years, though. I don't even think Jango had become the template at that time. So that's a pretty fun idea, though. I like where your head's at. Alex says, well, at least it shows that she has much different, no clones than normal wouldn't have one. Yeah, I'm on the same page with you, man. I really hope Omega has a purpose. Tim, there's almost no way that Omega doesn't have a purpose. I definitely have been, like, she's almost seemed like the center of this show. Like, I don't know if this show would exist without her, to be honest, because, like, obviously we get to see the Bad Batch going through the galaxy after Order 66, but I don't know if a whole bunch of the fandom was excited about the Bad Batch back in Clone Wars season 7. I think we thought they were cool, but like, I don't think we all were like, oh, we need more of the Bad Batch, you know? To me, the biggest intrigue of this show, outside of, like, you know, what's gonna happen with the Bad Batch, is Omega. Everything seems to be centered around Omega. She's saved the team countless times at this point, and they are always there to protect her. And that's part of the big thing of them, you know, finding their way in the galaxy, is now they're all like big brothers to this girl Omega. So, but it wouldn't make sense she's a Jango clone. Matt's Lego film. You're talking about your theory from before? Oh, with the Ducky Momo's theory, or just what do you mean by that? I need to learn to read up in the chat. Me too, Ducky Momo. I was like, whatever, they're cool. Huh. Fanboy dreaming. You already know we fanboy dreaming out here. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of speculation around Omega still, and I don't know. I feel like we're starting to slowly get answers for her, and this second half of the season is probably going to give us a lot on who she is, other than the stuff we've gotten already. And maybe we just have to accept the fact that she is just a Jango clone that's a female, and she has heightened perception. I think there was one other passage on the StarWars.com page, and I can look at it real quick and talk it to you guys before I head out. But it wasn't as big as that was. So on her databank on the StarWars.com website, it says that she's serving as a medical assistant for Nalase. The young girl known as Omega has a curious mind and an affinity for the elite clone troopers known as Clone Force 99, which of course we knew all of that. It also says, but many underestimate her intelligence. After spending her life working in Tipaka City on Kamino, the product of the Kaminoan cloning experimentation, Omega embarks on a new adventure with the Bad Batch following the dawn of the Empire. So basically what we get from that is a lot of what we already know, and then it emphasizes that she's very curious and quite intelligent, as we also found out all of that in the first couple of episodes. To me, it really does seem like her intelligence, or her just perception, as we've said, is what her ability is. I don't really know any other thing it could potentially be at this point. I really don't think she's a Force sensitive. I don't think we've gotten many hints to that other than a few things, but that could easily be attributed to her having a heightened perception. That's just kind of where I'm at with it, at least. Defo think we will see Cal Kestis, even if it's just something tiny like an Easter egg. Yeah, that's really interesting too. I was talking about that yesterday in the second part of my live stream, and I definitely think Cal could be in this. I don't know if he'll have a huge role, and I don't think he'll leave Braga because we still see him there, but I think it's really interesting. And also on the trivia database thing on StarWars.com, it did say, so everybody was kind of asking me who's the scavenger people that we see at the end of episode 7. And I did a little bit of searching on StarWars.com, and it turns out that they're just part of the like scavengers guild that Cal Kestis was in that same game. So it's pretty interesting stuff that they are able to tie all of this together. It's pretty cool, to be honest. No worries, Bad Doodle. I'll catch you later, man. Have a good night. Tim, what did he say? I hope Omega has a purpose. Yeah. Hold up. There's a dude who works for the Kaminoan people in the Mando, right? So I guess they are still active on Kamino during Mando. Maybe Omega is involved. I kind of like where your head's at there, Tim. So I think, honestly, the way I've been looking at it is that the Kaminoans likely are not going to survive this show, or at least they're not going to survive the start of the Empire. It's very possible they do, as I'm sure Palpatine would probably love to have their cloning knowledge, but I just think that they're going to be seen as threats to the Empire and enemies of the Empire. I definitely think Nala Se is going to want to protect Omega, and maybe even the members of the Bad Batch, as we saw her, let all of them escape on purpose at the end of the first episode. And of course, we've barely seen any of the Kaminoans or Nala Se since then, but I definitely think it's still possible that Nala Se somehow kind of tries to save Omega and the Bad Batch, and Tarkin or Rampart or just, the Empire takes out all of the Kaminoans for that. I think there's almost no way the Kaminoans are going to survive this whole ordeal, especially with their secrecy, as we know that they are notoriously secret creatures. But it definitely seems like they're not going to survive, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know much. There's not a lot of news going on today. We covered almost all of it yesterday as it is. I'm excited for the future though. I'm definitely going to be doing a Bad Batch episode 8 preview this week, and I'm excited, man. That this second half of the season is going to be fire, and I am hyped for it. Let's go Bad Batch hype. I cannot wait. Thank you guys for coming by. Sorry again, it is going to be a little bit of a shorter stream today, but I'm happy that you guys came by. Thank you for keeping Vader's Lair going strong. Like I always say, may the Force be with you.